welcome to Silver Age, Silver Screen, a podcast where we watch, discuss, and review sci-fi, cult, superhero, and other stereotypically geeky things. I'm your co-host, Casey Jarmes.
And I'm your other co-host, Riley Thorpe.
What is this episode? It's not a review, it's more of a discussion, a retrospective on WandaVision, which from our perspectives finished up like 5 days ago.
But by the time this episode's coming out, it'll be roughly around the time the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier's coming out, right?
Yes, that too.
So a little bit of a time frame as to when we record it, because we record them 2 weeks in advance.
Although this one got delayed both because we wanted to delay it for this and because of personal stuff don't want to get into. So, WandaVision. TV show spin-off of the Avengers films, focusing on Wanda Maximoff, played by Elizabeth Olsen, and the Vision, played by Paul Bettany, both of which were properly introduced in the second Avengers movie and had reappearances in Civil War, Infinity War, and in Wanda's case, in Endgame. Vision didn't appear because he was dead.
Oh yeah, Thanos ripped the Mind Stone out of his skull, which, can I just say for a second, I was very, very happy and pleasantly surprised that happened, because I went into it, I'm like, Marvel gets a lot of hate for being like too Disney, too kid-friendly and shit like that. Meanwhile, DC is dark and gritty and gloomy, and they're failing at it, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, they're the dark age of comic books.
They're failing! Anyway, I went into it, I was like, I don't know, I like Vision as a character. I like him in the MCU so far, but I really wanted to see Thanos getting the Mind Stone by, like, ripping it out of Vision's head. And I was like, I don't think they're gonna do that. I think he's, like, gonna use his power to, like, lift it out of it. No. Thanos dented Vision's skull in and ripped it out, circuits and all, and threw the dead body away. And I was like, holy shit, they actually went there.
Yeah, that's gotta be pretty traumatizing for his girlfriend who is standing 10 feet away. Maybe so traumatizing that she'll have a complete breakdown, lose control of her powers, kidnap hundreds, maybe even thousands of people, and create a cool sitcom, which is what we're talking about today. And we're not gonna do the recap, and I don't even know if we'll give scores at the end. This is just gonna be jumping around, talking about things we liked, we didn't like, what the experience, it's a TV show. You watch it week to week. You get theories. How good is it consistently?
Right, yeah. We're going to be expressing our thoughts and opinions throughout the video, but this is not necessarily a review. It's more of a discussion on the show, our experience watching it, what we think the impact of this show and shows similar to this style of show will impact the MCU going forward, because this is the first Marvel TV show. Can you believe that, Casey?
Yeah, what is this Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. you speak of?
Who gives a shit about Daredevil?
I'm glad that the new TV shows are more connected, although that doesn't mean they've had to make the old ones not connected for years.
Right, yeah.
Whatever, I have thoughts.
I just want to clarify, I was joking. I love Daredevil. It's one of my favorite TV shows of all time.
Jessica Jones is good, Luke Cage is good, Iron Fist exists.
Yeah.
I haven't seen The Runaways or Cloak and Dagger.
I've heard you don't need to.
I don't think I'll ever watch The Inhumans. I've heard nothing good about it.
You know something? I'd be down. I really want to see how bad it is. Just to see, And I'd be open to reviewing it on this podcast. But that's neither here nor there. Give us a 5-star review if you want us to review Inhumans.
So just jumping right in, my first overall thing about this, you mentioned when you were talking about how they killed off Vision in Infinity War, and you said, "Aw, I like Vision as a character."
Yeah.
Can I be honest? I didn't really care too much about Vision or Scarlet Witch before this TV show. I think a big problem the MCU has is that they don't give their supporting characters arcs or even enough screen time to care about. And it seems during Phase 4, and especially during this, what they're doing is going back and actually giving those characters personalities and...
Oh my word!
Depth. I just gotta say, this made me love Vision and Wanda Maximoff as they appear in the MCU. Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen gave amazing performances. It was filled with these great scenes featuring the two of them. It's weird, When the show started and, like, we first heard the concept, okay, Wanda's going House of M, she's bringing Vision back to life. I'm like, when I hear that, okay, that's cool, but I mean, it should probably end with Vision being killed off again because, Wanda can't just have a happily ever after for thematic reasons after she breaks down and kidnaps all these people. And then halfway through the show, I'm like, ah, shit. I like Vision now. I don't want him to die, but he has to for the narrative. Oh, decisions.
This show really does make you care about the characters. Especially, one thing for me that really took me off guard, I almost started tearing up during the finale. It was so fucking depressing.
It's heartbreaking.
Oh my god.
It really is.
And maybe to be honest, I was also kind of drinking a little bit then. That might have had a hand in it. I wasn't drunk, but, I had a few.
Hold on. Just for clarification, were you one of those people who watched in the morning or one of the people who stayed up till 3 a.m.? Because I was one of the people who stayed up till 3 a.m.
I watched it Friday afternoons.
Okay, so no wake up first thing in the morning, glug, gotta get drunk so I can handle this finale.
I mean, as much as I would I honestly love to be that guy. I really... No, that's not me, unfortunately. Yeah, that finale was surprisingly heartbreaking. I think that was the best thing that this show does, is it gives you the time and arguably the reasons to care about these characters and connect with them, I mean, I kind of wish that it would have happened before Scarlet Witch killed Vision, and then Thanos brought him back to life and killed him again.
Yeah.
But, whatever. I will say, this is the first thing that Marvel has done in a post-Infinity Saga MCU, which I believe Spider-Man Far From Home is a part of the Infinity Saga. Am I correct?
I mean, it's like the bridge, and at this point, we're getting into semantics, but while that one was sort of an epilogue, it was about how Spider-Man's dealing with the new world and being forced to step up and be the new hero. This, I feel, is setting up what the tone of the MCU going forward is gonna be. I mean, Falcon and Winter Soldier was supposed to do that, but that got delayed. Shit, Black Widow was supposed to do that, but that got delayed. This wasn't supposed to start Phase 4, but it works well enough.
But that was what I was going to mention, is the idea that this is the first official, Phase 4 property that's coming out. And me, I'm very fascinating for me, the idea that the very first thing, granted it wasn't the intention, there wasn't the intended thing to happen. It was Black Widow was supposed to be the first one to come out after that. And then a couple other shows and movies. But I think it's very interesting that just due to the circumstances, the first thing in a post-Infinity Saga MCU is something so tonally, stylistically different. Even from a character and story perspective. This show is very different than anything that the MCU has done before. And, like we've mentioned, it does a fantastic job of getting you connected with the characters. So, I don't know, it's just very fascinating to me that they go from Endgame and Far From Home to, reality warping into sitcoms,
And speaking of that, we should talk about the tone. This is a weird show. I'm not going to be one of those guys that, kind of annoying MCU stans who are like, this is the most innovative thing ever. Other things have done this before. The Truman Show did this kind of thing years before. But this is different than any superhero work that I've seen before. Especially different than any other MCU thing I've seen before. This blending in aspects of horror and every episode being very different in terms of production design and tone are very refreshing. A lot of people have argued that the MCU is getting stale, and I don't fully agree with that. I still enjoy it, but I do think that them being more experimental with this and hopefully in more things going forward is good for the overall series.
I hope that now that Marvel has basically cemented themselves as we can make a movie about a bunch of characters that are not necessarily developed in this movie, where they're all fighting a villain who's trying to search for a bunch of glowing rocks. And that guy is a giant purple CGI alien. And everyone loves it. They've already established that the audience understands them, and they're trusting them to understand what they're going for. So my hope now is that we're going to get more diverse kinds of movies, and TV shows. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm looking forward to, like, big blockbuster superhero action stuff, but I'd also be interested in doing more smaller character driven stuff like WandaVision. I'm really excited for Doctor Strange 2, how it's gonna have some horror sequences, so I'm very prepped up for that. Just a few.
Some.
Oh yeah.
It's still a superhero movie, but it hopefully will be more stylistically interesting.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that, and what with them introducing new characters like Shang-Chi, Blade, I think that they're going to expand the universe and find new ways to tell stories that better connect with the audience. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Let's break it down. So this show, it's 9 different episodes, and about 6 of them are sitcom episodes, in air quotes. It's basically watching a sitcom. The first 3 episodes in the entirety are, with the exception of, like, once per episode, the horror scene, just retro fake sitcom.
The first episode is a tribute to, like, the I Love Lucy sitcoms from the 50s. Then, what was the second episode? It was Bewitched.
I believe they stated their primary influences for each episode, excluding the 3 non-sitcom ones, were in order: The Dick Van Dyke Show, Bewitched. What was the third one? That was
Brady Bunch. Yeah.
Brady Bunch. Yeah, and then there was Family Ties, Malcolm in the Middle, and Modern Family.
I think, I'm just going to say this real quick. I thought Elizabeth Olsen's performance was really solid all throughout it. But I will say the Modern Family episode, which is the one where, spoiler alert, it was revealed that it was Agatha all along at the end, wasn't a big fan of her performance in that episode. And I get they were going for, she was like really spacey, like everything was falling apart for her, and she was like, I don't know what's going on. But like, I don't know. On that one episode, she didn't sell me as well as she did all the other episodes.
I feel like the sitcom episodes got less funny as it went on, and I don't know why. Like, I feel like, even though I tend to prefer modern sitcoms, I feel like the Modern Family parody was much less funny than the Dick Van Dyke parody for some reason. I don't know. Although I will say, in terms of Elizabeth Olsen's performance, I gotta give credit to her and a lot of the actors in the sitcom world in particular, but especially her, on the subtle changes in their performance. Like, it's very clear that it shifts between episodes because Elizabeth Olsen is doing different impressions of other sitcom actors.
Yeah, I know that takes a lot of talent to go from
very impressive.
In the same TV show or movie. It takes a lot of talent to like completely change your character in some subtle but even like big ways. It's very hard to act, A, but B, it's like when you're, like you said, she's changing it subtly every single episode to fit better in the context of that era of sitcoms. It's very impressive, and she did a very good job. It's just, for me, I don't think she did as good of a job on the Modern Family tribute episode. That's just me.
I will say, in addition to the sitcom, like we mentioned, there's the horror scenes, like Mr. Hart starts choking and they just all stare at him in the first one. Wanda rewinding time in the second one, her throwing Monica through like 6 buildings.
And then she turns around and sees Vision's dead body in front of her.
Oh god, I forgot about that, yeah. This show is creepy at times.
Yeah.
At times.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. The show started off with like, just the episodes were almost exclusively about like they're tributing like the different sitcoms, and it was very fun and very investing. I know there was a lot of people, and partially myself included, who were like, we want more of the story, more of the mystery, less of the throwback to the sitcom stuff, like.
It takes till the end of the 3rd episode for them to finally drop that we're just doing sitcoms with occasional horror scenes thing.
The first 2 episodes, they're basically like just little fun bottle episodes. First one's a sitcom from the 50s and 60s, right? 50s? I don't know. It's the Dick Van Dyke Show episode. Then the second episode's Bewitched, and it's like they're fun bottle episodes. And that does carry over into the Brady Bunch episode 3. But what's funny is, and this will kind of lead into my overall thoughts on the show as a whole, but the first 2 episodes didn't do a really great job of setting up the mystery that ended up being developed in the show.
Here's what I'll say. The first episode, like it just being good all the way through, and then the horror at the end, that's good, but I feel the next 2 episodes also being that it drags on. I don't mind the first 3 episodes all being pretty much just sitcoms. I feel like if the show didn't spend that time building this relationship between Wanda and Vision, that's the heart of the show, I don't think it would have worked as well. But I feel it could have been more mystery from second episode onward, you know?
They didn't really set up much of mystery in the first 2 episodes. I mean, some creepy stuff happens, and then at the end of the second episode, they see that beekeeper walk through the sewer grate, and she goes, no, and like reverses it all back. Like, that was really the only thing that would hint at a mystery, but like that was the last scene in the second episode. So it's like the first 2 episodes were very fun, but in terms of the overarching story, they really don't have a whole lot of impact until the end of the third episode. What's interesting is that I read somewhere, and I could be wrong on this, I don't know, don't believe everything you read, but I read that Marvel sent the first 3 episodes to critics to review, but they only released the first 2 for the public. So when a lot of people were like, I don't know, there's not really setting up all this mystery, I don't know, there's not really much of a story here, critics, they were able to see the story. And they were like giving it really good reviews. Like, yeah, it's really set up an interesting story. And people were like, what are you talking about? We watched the first 2 episodes.
Although, to be fair, I'm looking at the critic reception by episode. First 2 episodes, 100 out of 100. Third, drop all the way down to 86.
Yeah, I mean, that's still good, but
7 and 9 were also very mixed reactions.
yeah. Again, like I said, I could be wrong on that. But this kind of leads me into my overall opinions of the show, the series as a whole. I thought it was very fun. I thought it was good, but overall, I don't know. Apart from getting you connected to Wanda and Vision as characters, apart from that, I think it's fine, honestly. Like, I don't love it. It's not bad, but like, to be honest, I was pretty disappointed by it, the way it left off. Because the entire season, the story is it's a mystery. What's happening? Why is it happening? Who's doing it? And there's 9 episodes. The first 2, they had nothing to do with that story. It's like the first one, oh, Vision, it's their anniversary, but Vision accidentally invited his boss over. And she has to cook the food without them knowing that they're not prepared. And then the second episode, there's a talent show. And Vision swallowed some gum. He's like drunk now or something. I don't know. And then third episode, Wanda's pregnant, and we're preparing for all that. And then she gives birth. But it's like, so the first 3 episodes, the first 2 episodes in particular, there's very few moments of like, oh, how does this connect to the story? And then the third episode, we get that. But then episode 4, from what I can recall, is like, okay, here's most of the answers to the questions you've been asking. Like, that episode almost entirely focuses on Monica. The next episode's like, okay, here's a bunch of information that we're just going to dump onto you. And I was like, okay, well, I was kind of having fun theorizing there for a little bit, but I don't know. But then after that, it's like when most of it's revealed that it's like, oh, it's Wanda. Wanda's the one that's doing it, which, and I'll get back to that in a second, but it's like, then from then on, it's like, we know it's Wanda. So the next several episodes are just kind of Vision slowly learning what we, the audience, already know. So it slows down. I don't know. And then it just eventually becomes like a bunch of superpowered people flying through the air shooting lasers at each other. And it's kind of like, you know, who really cares about this? The point of the show was the mystery. And that's pretty much my biggest flaw with it, is the entire story is a mystery. It had terrible setup. It revealed a bunch of shit, and then it slowed down, and then it just kind of all came out, and then it became like big laser throwing at each other battle.
Fair enough.
So from a storytelling perspective, it has a lot to be desired. But like I said, it's a fun watch, and I did very much enjoy watching it week to week. But I don't know. I was pretty let down by the story. I just got the feeling, and then even with the final episode, it's like half the characters barely have any screen time. Like Jimmy Woo, Monica Rambeau, Darcy, hell, even the fake Quicksilver, which we'll get to talking him about in soon. It's like they really don't have much to do in the season finale, or the series finale rather, because this, from what we can tell, is going to be, this is it for WandaVision. There are no plans to make season 2s to any of the current shows that they're making. But I don't know. It's just like half the characters don't have anything to do, and it's just like, I don't know, the conflict was just kind of like, I just got the feeling like it was a big trailer to what's happening next. And Marvel often gets criticized for doing that. I'm often a defender of it. Like, no, it still has value in and of itself. But this one, the ending just left me with this feeling of like, yeah, I guess we're going to see how all this pays off in, I don't know, Doctor Strange 2. Maybe Avengers 4, what are we on? 5? Yeah, Avengers 5. Also, another thing that probably also is influencing me, I saw all of these twists coming. I don't know if that was just because I'm a fan and I know these characters and I know this comic, but I was not surprised. Like, I knew Agatha was going to be revealed in the end. I knew it was going to be Wanda. I knew Vision was going to be fake. Whatever. Even in that episode where director Hayward, the guy who's the director of Sword...
Oh god, he's so obviously evil.
Yeah, he was saying, like, she broke in and took the Vision's body and brought him here. And then it's like, it shows the episode where she goes to see him. She does not take him. And then I thought to myself, I go, they're building a new Vision, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then it was either that episode or the next episode. It's like, the reveal, yep, there's a new Vision.
Well, I've got one twist. I question, did you see this twist coming? Okay, so I don't know about you. I saw they would have her try and bring Quicksilver back twist.
Yeah.
I saw that coming. Quicksilver not genuinely being Quicksilver.
Yeah.
I also saw that coming. Did you see him just being a boner joke
no,
coming?
I did not necessarily see that one coming. But that kind of leads into another one of the points I want to make, because obviously Disney bought 20th Century Fox, and now Marvel has access to the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Deadpool. And we had an episode, our second episode was about how we think they should introduce them. You should go check that out. It's episode number 2.
It was very rough. My mic was bad.
Yeah, but we're learning. We've learned. But a lot of the actors that were in the 20th Century Fox X-Men movies have since come forward and been like, yeah, I would love to return to this character in the MCU. But can I be honest? If I were Kevin Feige or anyone of the higher-ups at Marvel, no offense to any of the actors whatsoever. You guys did good in those shitty movies. But, and not all of them are shit.
I mean, they've already been recast once.
Yeah, well, and here's my thing. It's like, no offense to you. But if I were Kevin Feige, I would be like, no, we're doing our own thing. I know that sucks. Like, you spent so much time and effort playing these characters, and you probably grew to know and love them. But I don't know. Like, if I were Marvel, I'd be like, no, we're doing our own thing with the X-Men. So when they brought in Evan Peters as Quicksilver, and they were like, she recast her brother? I love the excuse that Agatha gave. She's like, yeah, your brother, his dead body's on another continent, which I don't think that that's necessarily true. Didn't they bring his body back?
I don't know. I mean, I assume they buried him.
Yeah.
Like,
well, yeah.
in Sokovia. I don't think they have Quicksilver's body just chilling on a couch at the Avengers
Okay, yeah,
base.
no, you're probably right. They probably buried him.
Oh no! Thanos' airstrike! He destroyed Quicksilver's body!
Yeah, they probably buried him in Sokovia. I forgot about that. But I love that excuse. Like, yeah, I couldn't get to your brother in time, so I just got this random boner dude.
Her husband, Ralph.
Yeah. So it's like, they brought in Quicksilver, played by Evan Peters, who played Quicksilver in the Fox X-Men movies. And it's like, for me, I'm like, dude, this is fucking big. This is game-changing for the MCU. But then it was revealed that it's not really her brother. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's fine. I don't care. There was Agatha mind controlling him. But that also leads to the question of, okay, well, how does Agatha know to have a guy that looks like that be Quicksilver? You know? It's like, does she have access to the multiverse, possibly? Is she in league with a certain character who was theorized to be in the show but is not? I don't know. But then, no, it's just some random dude named Ralph Boner who she just mind controlled and said. So essentially what it was just a fun Easter egg. So for me, that just kind of goes to show the idea that Marvel's like, no, we're not bringing the Fox characters into the X-Men.
And I'm torn. I feel like it's a bit of a dick move to have this major twist and then like, JK, not really. And I kind of wish he was maybe just, who are you? Can't tell you that. Zoom, runs away. I kind of wish they would actually have that, because, I mean, they are doing multiverse going forward, or at the very least, using characters from other Marvel movies not made by Disney, like with the third Spider-Man movie. But I feel like the fact that he is named Boner, he is named Ralph Boner, is just going so far into the fuck you fans territory. that I stop being mad and I
Yeah.
start being amused. Like, god damn it.
Yeah. You want to know what else was a big middle finger to the fans?
Oh god.
A couple weeks before
I know.
the episode in question aired, actor Paul Bettany, who played Vision, Paul Bettany said in an interview or on social media, whatever he said, there's a big cameo coming towards the end of this season. It's an actor that he has always wanted to work with, and he has great chemistry with. And he's setting up basically this massive, huge cameo.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of it was people blowing it out of proportion.
Yes.
Like, I've heard the term Luke Skywalker level cameo thrown out a lot. That was not what anyone said. He just said, I was able to work with an actor I've never worked before. So it was some fans blowing it out of proportion.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
But still, that was a troll move, because the actor he's never worked before is Paul Bettany, because he talked to himself.
Yeah. Basically, Paul Bettany, mostly throughout the show, he plays like a projection of Vision from Wanda's mind, you know? And meanwhile, director Hayward has been repairing Vision and making him a weapon, which is in direct violation of the Sokovia Accords and of Vision's living will. He did not want to become a weapon.
Well, Vision's not a person. He doesn't have a will, but he still has to sign contracts and can buy property. Really, I feel like if Vision existed in real life, that's what would happen. People treat him as a robot or a person when it's convenient, whatever.
They made a new version of Vision, an all-white version, which is kind of a tribute to the Avengers arcade game. So yeah, two versions of Vision fighting each other in one scene, so he was referring to that. And there was a lot of backlash. Granted, I completely agree that most of it was of just the fans blowing it out of proportion, because there were so many cameos, and I'll get to that in a second. But it's like there were so many people theorizing as to which major character is going to appear in the show. And yeah, no, just turns out to be himself. And there was so much hate. The fucking director of every episode of the show, he was asked, like, what do you have to say for Paul Bettany doing that? And he goes, listen, he dug his own grave. He can dig himself out.
I think it's hilarious.
I think it's hilarious,
You
too.
go, Paul Bettany.
Yeah, I think it's really funny, too. I just think it's so funny that just due to fans overreacting, people were theorizing that because he said there's a big cameo, they were expecting maybe John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier, or even Al Pacino as Mephisto. They were all expecting that.
Yeah.
But no, it's just...
Can we talk about Mephisto?
Yes, we can.
Holy crap, that was the biggest fan
Yeah.
theory. And, I mean, granted, it's adapting parts of the comics that featured Mephisto
Right, yeah.
as a villain, but
And hell, I was even a part of that.
really, that was a fan thing that we personally blew out of proportion
Oh, yeah,
as
absolutely.
fans. There was not a lot of hinting at Mephisto besides Agatha's connected to him in the comics.
Right. Well, I mean, there was another theory, another thing that I found very funny. When the episode, right before the Agatha All Along music video, at the end of that episode, before that...
God, that was
Yeah.
hilarious, by the way. Like, I mean, they revealed an obvious twist, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we all saw it coming. And then she does a musical number where she explains that she killed Wanda's dog, and I'm like, okay, I forgive you. That was
Yeah.
hilarious. Catherine Hart is wonderful as just being fucking awful.
You know, it's funny, this is a side note, but around Christmas time, I watched that movie Bad Moms Christmas with Mila Kunis, Kirsten Bell, and her. And in that movie, they're in a strip club where all the male strippers are dressed as Santa, and she shouts, "Put a baby in me, Santa number 2!" That woman is a Marvel supervillain now. Let's let that sink in.
I mean, she already was. She played Doc
Very
Ock
true.
in Spider-Man.
Very true. But what I was going to say is, like, I also fell into that theory. I was, for a while, thoroughly convinced that Mephisto was going to make an appearance in it. And I talked about it with you many times. I was like, I don't know how I feel about, like, Mephisto being, like, kind of a one-off villain in just a season of a show straight to Disney Plus, you know? But then again, it was going to tie into Doctor Strange 2, so maybe Mephisto was going to be the villain of Doctor Strange 2. Nope, none of that ever happened. None of that was ever hinted at. But the episode right before the Agatha All Along music video, when Wanda was in her living room, she looked at the TV, she was looking around, and she saw the cicada and the rabbit that were in her living room. A lot of people were theorizing, in the comics, Mephisto's very first appearance was disguised as a fly. So a lot of people were theorizing, oh, that's the devil. That's the Marvel devil. Nope. The beginning of the very next episode, she grabs the fly, throws it into the rabbit's mouth, and the rabbit eats it. Big middle finger to fans. Over-imaginative fans, albeit.
And to be fair, I do think this is still setting up Mephisto, and I know after I just said that fans need to chill out, but do you know what Wanda is doing at the end? She's studying the Book of the Damned to try and find out how to revive the dead. And Agatha warns, you've caught the attention of powerful figures, or you've unleashed something. I forget the exact line. I have a feeling Wanda might be meeting with Mephisto pretty soon.
Yeah, I just think it's kind of funny because this isn't the first time that people were theorizing Mephisto was going to make an appearance in a Marvel property. You want to know what the first one was?
What?
And granted, it wasn't a lot of people, but it was some people that I heard that I was really interested in having. People were theorizing that Mephisto was going to end up being the surprise villain in the Defenders Netflix series.
What?
Yeah.
Nah.
It's like the hand, what they were drilling down into the earth to do was to do this ritual to unleash the devil.
I mean, that would have been cooler than Dragon Bones to make immortality.
Yeah. So fucking dumb. But I don't know. I don't think it would have worked, but I don't know. It would have been interesting. And then here we are. What has it been? 3 years? I don't know. All these years later, and people are still like, yeah, Mephisto. Come on, Mephisto. Come on, Mephisto.
I mean, if you want to talk about TV shows connected to this TV show, it's interesting. I know they decanonized all the old TV shows, and I have mixed feelings on that, but they also are incorporating something small. The Darkhold, the Book of the Damned, Agatha used it to, learn all her magic. It's from the comics. But the thing is, it appeared in both Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and The Runaways. I haven't seen The Runaways. But in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they had an arc with Ghost Rider. It was about the Book of the Damned as a MacGuffin and Ghost Rider's uncle using it to do evil stuff. And then the robot got it and she used it to make the Matrix, and then Ghost Rider rode off with it. But anyway, they used the same design that they used for the Book of the Damned in that show. It's the same prop, or at very least a recreation. I don't have any thoughts on that. Continuity-wise, it's kind of wonky because how it's gotten between hands isn't really explained and probably will never be, but they used the same prop.
I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what they're going to do? Maybe they're going to say it happened in a different universe. I don't know. From what I found, a lot of backlash has come out of the finale of this show.
I understand some of it.
Yes, some of it. But a lot of it, from what I can tell, comes from the fact that people are more so disappointed that they didn't see what they wanted, you know? That's probably one of the problems. As much as I do, one of my favorite parts was waiting every week for an episode on Friday. Can't wait for Friday to come to watch a new episode of WandaVision. As much as I did like that, I almost feel like in circumstances like these, with shows that are so heavily shrouded in mystery and secretism, I almost feel like it might be better if they would release all the episodes back to back so that there isn't this giant, between every episode, there's a week-long wait period where people are like, ooh, what's going to happen? I think this huge character is going to come in. Oh, they never even mentioned that character. Oh, well, this show sucks because I didn't see what I wanted to see. It's toxic fans blowing things out of proportion and overreacting. Now, here's my take on it. I was very interested in the possibility of them introducing Mr. Fantastic. Like Monica said, she goes, I know the perfect astrophysicist to deal with this. That line never came up ever again.
She just knows a guy. He doesn't have to be a superhero. She knows a guy.
But no, it's like they're setting up something big with her powers and Wanda's powers. And she's like, ooh, I know the person that could give us answers to this. And then that's never revisited, ever.
To be fair, she said, I know an engineer friend who can help us out. And then her engineer friend gave her a cool truck that she uses to ram the wall.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. I don't know.
I will say, while we're talking about the finale, I will say, and you got on it kind of earlier, the action in the finale was kind of boring overall. Yeah. But I will say, there were two really good things in that climax. Or actually a few good things, but two I'm going to say now. I am so glad that they finally gave Scarlet Witch her costume and name from the comics, and it looks amazing.
Yes, the costume looked great. And especially, I know Elizabeth Olsen, for years now, she's been vocal about her disapproval of the costumes that she's been given for these movies as they reveal too much cleavage. But in this show, they gave her a new costume. It looks great, and it's very respectful and empowering. And like I said, it looks great. But yeah, I completely agree. It's just kind of like, who cares about this giant battle? I was more invested in the mystery of this, but...
With the other, like, because they pair off, Wanda takes on Agatha, Vision takes on... In the credits, he's just called The Vision. I kind of wish they named him Cataract, or like something different, but I really like the idea that how's Vision gonna beat his evil clone? Well, he's Vision. He's the introspective, nerdy guy. He's just gonna, like, talk to him about philosophy. And I really like that. It was a good subversion, it was true to the character, and it was a really nice scene.
I agree. I really like that. They had this, like, philosophical question.
The ship of Theseus.
Yes.
Which everyone knows.
Yeah. But it's like, for me, I don't know, it's like the Vision, the cataract vision, which is a crazy thing. They're fixing their vision. They call it because it's a cataract and it's all white, you know?
Yeah, that's clever.
Great. It's really smart, really clever. But it's like, it was a great subversion of expectations, but then the real Vision kind of just like flew away. And then that was like kind of the end of him in that story. So it's like a lot of stuff was just answered very abruptly, but then a lot of other stuff was left open-ended, probably with the intention of going back to it later, but I don't know, I just don't really get much of a sense of finality to this. Like I said, I'm not saying I needed, like, Mr. Fantastic, Mephisto, Ultron, and I'm not saying I needed any of them to appear. I'm just saying it's like, the way the story unfolded, it's like, it left me wanting more, but it was purposefully done that way, and I just kind of feel a little cheated.
I will say, White Vision, Cataract, The Vision, Paul Bettany's cool friend who he's never worked with before. Here's the thing. When the show started, there were a lot of things I wanted it to do. There were two things that I did not want it to do. It to end with Vision alive, and it to end up Wanda not actually being the bad guy. And you know what? They delivered on both of those with an asterisk on the first one, which I'll get to in a moment. They could have so easily had it end with Wanda finding a way to keep her family. And I'm glad that it ends with that tragic ending of Vision just fading away and saying, we will meet again.
Yeah, I really like that as well. I had this feeling of how profound it was that they would go with that ending. Like, no, she is the villain of this story. She does not get her family back.
And I really, after the show, want to see more Paul Bettany Vision. But the whole point of the show is I cannot have that ending. And they gave, through White Vision, a way to, and it will depend on how they use the character going forward, but a way to have their cake and eat it too. Because, I mean, Paul Bettany's still in the MCU. He's still Vision. But he doesn't have his emotions, and he doesn't love Wanda. And who knows, maybe she'll magic it back into him, or maybe she'll have to deal with, this isn't the Vision you know. But there will be more interesting things going forward, but we still get that loss. There's still the tragedy.
I was glad, because part of me expected them to bring Vision back in a way. But my fear was that they were going to do it like, oh yeah, you know that manifestation in the Hex of Vision? That Vision that is a manifestation of Wanda's perception of him and her magic that can only live inside the Hex? Yeah, she found a way to make him real. And it's like, I was really hoping they didn't do that, because I would much rather prefer, like you said, the old Vision, the one that died twice, the one that truly has had so much past, or as we've been told, they have a history together, a romantic history. The one that's made out of pure vibranium as a weapon of mass genocide. The one that can lift Mjolnir, that's like, it's imbued with Asgardian magic. You know, like, this very interesting character. It's like, yeah, we could bring him back, and now he's back, and he's like a shell of himself, trying to find out where he fits and trying to find himself again. But I was worried that instead of bringing that Vision back, they were going to be like, oh yeah, you know this new one that gets drunk when it swallows gum? Yeah, that's our Vision now.
Well, to be fair,
without all the interesting character development? Yeah, no, it's just these new one. But thank God they didn't do that.
Hold on, what are you... They really needed to give them different names.
Okay, so I'm glad that they brought Cataract back, because that's the Vision that we've seen in the MCU thus far. He's the one that's been developed. He's the one that's worthy to lift Mjolnir. He was made by Ultron as a weapon of mass destruction, but he is instead choosing to fight for what's right, fight alongside the Avengers. And they also found a way to make him live without the Mind Stone, which is really cool. Although the Mind Stone kind of imbued itself into Wanda, and it's her magic that they're using him to keep alive, so he's kept alive by the Mind Stone in a way. But point is, Cataract, I think bringing Vision back as Cataract offers the possibility for a much better character than what they had been if, oh yeah, you know that Vision that's in the Hex? Yeah, we just found a way to make him real. He's not as well developed, doesn't have that same story, but I don't know.
I think Hex Vision is much, just from this show, is a much more developed, interesting character, which is why it's tragic that he's the one who dies. And, the stuff about Vision, with him being, worthy and this great hero, like you said, I think Cataract, and they could have been more clear on this, I feel like they just needed, a scene of Cataract, flying away and, being emotionless. Vision's lost a big part of himself. I feel like the Mind Stone was his soul, and now he doesn't know what he is. And that's going to be an interesting thing to see going forward.
Think about it this way. There's a certain sense of duality to it. The story ended with the old Vision is now being continued with the new Vision. And where it ends with him is now being continued by the old Vision rebuilt.
Right.
They found a way to very cleverly intertwine those two completely different versions of Vision, but have them be the same conflict, the same story through Wanda's eyes.
Yeah,
through
I
Wanda's
gotcha.
story.
Oh, and you mentioned the Vision can lift Mjolnir thing. To be honest, Age of Ultron does not do a good job showing why Vision is worthy of Mjolnir, because it's his first scene when he lifts Mjolnir. This film is the one that made... I said film because we always do film reviews. This TV show finally made me believe this is a character who is worthy. There are so many good scenes with Paul Bettany. And Elizabeth Olsen, too. She is great at being this tragic figure. Whereas Vision, in this show, finally establishes this is the ideal hero. This is someone who is worthy of Mjolnir. When he first breaks free of the Hex and is falling apart, but all he can think is to scream, they need your help, not even caring about himself. That is worthy. Other really good Vision scenes, it's probably my favorite scene in the whole series, is when Wanda just starts the credits in episode 5, where she starts the credits and Vision's no, this isn't over. I don't know who I am. It's heartbreaking. I finally like Vision.
They did a very good job of getting you invested into the characters, and that's the best thing that this show has to offer. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the series that's coming out this year. When this episode airs a couple days from now, there will be the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm really hoping they flesh out their characters. Same thing with Loki right after that. I'm very interested to see what these new shows are going to do for the MCU and the characters within them. Basically, what my message is, if you were disappointed by this ending, I was disappointed too, but I want you to just think for a second. Are you disappointed because of what we got or what we didn't get? Because at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer in the idea that you can't judge a movie or TV show based on what didn't happen, fan theorizing, oh, we didn't get Mr. Fantastic. Well, how can you blame a show for not having something, I don't know. So my point is, at the end of the day, I'm kind of glad that they didn't have a giant cameo at the end of it. I'm glad Ultron, Doctor Strange, Charles Xavier, Magneto didn't bring Quicksilver back to life. I'm glad that they didn't necessarily do any of that. But just because they didn't do that doesn't mean that it's shit because of it. Just be objective with it is my thing.
Yeah. And think about it this way. They didn't necessarily set up everything you expect, but they introduced Wycon and Speed. They gave Monica Rambeau. She uses 5 different names in the comics. I don't know what they'll go with. They gave her powers. They reintroduced Vision, but in a new way that still keeps the tragedy. And you want this powerful, satanic force of chaos magic to be the new big bad of the MCU? Well, we got that, because Wanda is going to be the big bad.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what they've said on the blurb they had on Doctor Strange 2 was gonna be Doctor Strange faces off against a friend who has gone evil. At first I was like, oh yeah, Baron Mordo. Yeah, that makes sense. But now what I think is the whole movie is gonna be a three-way fight between Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, and Baron Mordo. And that's what I think that's gonna be, and I'm pumped for that.
Wow. That's really, I never thought of it that way. I mean, I know for years there's been rumors that Nightmare is going to be the villain, but God, if Wanda's legitimately one of, if not the villain of Doctor Strange 2, I mean, damn, that's really interesting.
I feel like this is the start of Wanda's path to darkness.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Baron Mordo, he hunts evil wizards. Well, this is the one who kidnapped a whole small town.
Yeah, that would be very, very interesting. Because we've seen villains become anti-heroes through Loki, but it would be so cool if we saw a hero legit become a villain in the MCU. Damn, that would be really cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
Also, on similar note, they have trailers. They have fake trailers in the middle of all these episodes.
Right.
One of them, in the Modern Family episode, they have a commercial for a depression medicine, depression treating medicine called Nexus. Antidepressant, that's
is
it.
The word. Called Nexus.
Nexus is basically the gateway to the multiverse in the Marvel Universe. It's, in the comics, what the Man-Thing protects. What a lot of people are theorizing is that now that Wanda has the Darkhold, she's going to become a Nexus-level being, where she can reach into the multiverse.
Okay, well, that would be cool. Yeah, she starts looking through the multiverse to try and find her kids.
That's a possibility.
Oh, one real thing I gotta say. The funniest moment in the show, I don't know why, but it made me laugh out loud. In one of the commercials, they introduce Lagos, a paper towel brand. And for context, Lagos is that place where Wanda accidentally killed a bunch of people in Civil War. And that commercial ended with Lagos for, when you make a little accident. I burst out laughing.
I think that one went past my head, but thank you for bringing that up.
Also, Stark Toaster, Strucker Watch, Hydra, spa treatment or whatever that was. Good commercials.
I have two things. One, with regards to Monica Rambeau. I am very interested to see where they're going to go with her character going forward because, as we all know, Monica Rambeau, she was the little girl in Captain Marvel, which takes place in the 90s. Now, we cut to today, modern day, well, a couple years in the future. Monica is an adult, she's a sword agent, and her mom died of cancer. Her mom was best friends with Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. Now, whenever Captain Marvel name was brought up around Monica, you could tell there was some awkward tension between her and Captain Marvel. So could that be implying she had something to do with her mom's cancer, or she wasn't there for when her mom died for her cancer, or they had a falling out in between? Maybe it had nothing to do with the cancer?
I hope she wasn't around because Captain Marvel giving Monica's mom cancer, A, means that all the Avengers have cancer now. And B, oh, that's so dark. That's some Watchmen shit.
The point is, we don't know why, but there's obviously tension between Monica and Carol Danvers. Now, Monica is her own superhero. She has her own powers thanks to this show. We don't exactly know why, but we believe it had something to do with getting into contact with Wanda's magic multiple times. And in the comics, she goes by, like you said, Casey, so many different names.
Spectrum, Photon, she was Captain Marvel for a while.
Yeah, exactly. So she goes by so many different names, but now she's her own superhero. What does that mean for the Marvel Universe? Captain Marvel is now frenemies. I wouldn't say enemies, but they're very close friends, but now they just kind of are awkward around each other because of something that we don't know happened. The point is, I would say they're more frenemies now. They're allies when it gets down. Whatever. You get what I'm trying to say. So what does that mean? I think in the future, in Captain Marvel, there's going to be conflict between her and Monica. And caught in the middle is going to be Ms. Marvel, who is getting her own show in a few years.
Right. And, hold on, before we go forward, do you have any more overall thoughts on WandaVision? Because we thought with the back half of this episode, we'd just talk about what else is coming in Phase 4 and just brief thoughts on it.
I have one more thing after this.
Okay.
But, yeah, I can't take credit for that. There's a guy on TikTok named Straw Hat Goofy who does movie reviews, so I got that one from him. I'm giving him credit. He's probably not going to listen to this, but who knows. But I just think that's such an interesting dynamic. Two superheroes at odds with each other for personal reasons, and caught in the middle is a very impressionable teenager with superpowers trying to find her place in the world. That is a really interesting dynamic for Captain Marvel going forward.
So, wait, are you just saying... Oh, God, I hope that they do that. Just Kamala Khan, like, having two estranged, divorced parents, like, just fighting in front of her.
I
mean, one of them is the aunt... Well, not blood, but, like, basically... Aunt Carol. Like, my new mentor and, like, her niece, like, don't get along and they keep fighting and this is stressful. I'm new to the superhero thing.
I don't know. That's a theory I heard. Also, one more thing that I'd like to mention. In Avengers Age of Ultron, when Wanda was explaining to, I believe it was Captain America, what happened and why they hate Tony Stark. They're like, no, a Stark missile crashed into our home, killed my parents, and it could have gone off for 2 days. But by a miracle, it didn't happen. Which now, it's implied that Wanda had her powers as a child. So maybe the Mind Stone just enhanced it? I don't know. But point is, we do get a scene where the missile crashes down into their apartment, killing the parents, almost killing Wanda and Pietro. So that line that Wanda says, she's like, no, we were pinned under a bed in front of a missile that could have gone off for 2 days. While they were waiting for 2 days, they were watching the Dick Van Dyke Show. I'm not, like, it shows the missile, and it's like the TV's still playing, and it's the Dick Van Dyke Show playing in the background. Like, that's just such a funny idea to me. Like, oh yeah, you know this giant traumatic backstory?
No, I think it's horrifying.
No, it's like, no, just the idea. It's like, the idea of, like, this traumatic backstory that she told. And it's like, wow, that's really heavy. Yeah, we see it, and the fucking Dick Van Dyke Show is playing in the background as it's happening.
No, because now, like, her childhood loves have been tainted because she's been like Iron Man Clockwork Orange her. Now she can't watch the Dick Van Dyke Show without thinking of her parents being killed.
You got a point there, but I just still think it's really funny. The idea that they're like, she's like, we almost died, but thankfully we were watching the Dick Van Dyke Show. we weren't bored, is my point. But I just think that that's really funny.
Wait, hold on. Those were VHS tapes, right? They couldn't have watched that for 2 days. VHS tapes don't last long.
I don't know, man. I did like the idea that they did give a reason why sitcoms in particular. It's like that was the thing she loved most in her personal life as a kid. And she loves just watching sitcoms, and now she wants her life to be that because it's the ideal family life, you know?
So, future of the MCU, the other half of this episode's title. We're just going to list off works and then real quick say yay or nay and like our thoughts. Let's start off. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You excited?
Yes. I love Captain America. I love the Captain America movies. I'm really excited to see how the story goes.
Yeah. I'm excited about that one. Like Riley, I really like the Captain America films. I think Sam and Bucky having to deal with we're Captain America now is a good thing. I think those two characters... I really like their dynamic of them just kind of hating each other. It's funny. And the fact that they're bringing Zemo back as the villain and, from what I've heard, US Agent as the other villain. That sounds like it'll be good. And we saw some cool action shots of Falcon flying through the Grand Canyon while being shot by missiles. I'm excited for that one. Black Widow.
Yes. I mean, I don't know. It's a prequel, so we know how the story's going. But to be honest... I'm really mostly excited to see the post-credits scene because Kevin Feige said that the way this movie, Black Widow, leaves off is going to completely change your opinion of Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah, it's going to give a character who's been part of the MCU for like 11 years at this point,
yes.
Right? She first appeared in Iron Man 2. She's finally going to get character development. Also, she's a corpse.
I'm not super excited for it. I'm going to watch it, but like I'm mostly interested for... the promise to be fulfilled.
I'm interested because it has Taskmaster versus fat old David Harbour Russian Captain America. And you know that show, like, because it's introducing Black Widow's little sister. You know what it's setting up is her taking over as Black Widow.
Right. Well, it's also setting up the Thunderbolts.
Hopefully. We've talked about that before. Loki.
I don't know. You know what? None of the trailers have ever really sold me. I think the logo of the show is shit, but I don't know. Over time, I've gotten more and more interested in it. I don't know, just the idea of the possibilities that this offers. Like Loki traveling through time, vote for Loki. There's rumored to be like a child version, a female version.
Wait, yes! They're doing, like, because in the comics, Loki, he's died and reincarnated a few times, and each reincarnation's different, and, like, the other reincarnations are really interesting characters. Yes! Young Loki and modern, non-binary Loki.
I'm interested in the possibilities that this show offers, like, because it does seem, the concept, from what I can tell, is very fascinating. But, I don't know, for me right now, it's not high up on my list.
I'll watch it, but, yeah, I don't know. We talked about it last week when we did Thor. I don't really know if I want to watch a show in a different universe where Loki doesn't have any character development. But maybe it'll be good. We'll wait for more info.
Would you be excited for it if Owen Wilson's in
I
it?
saw that. Who's he playing?
I don't know. He's like playing one of the time police people. Like Loki is traveling through time. He gets in trouble with the time enforcement, whatever. The TWA.
My favorite
and like,
rap group.
He's like his lawyer or something. I don't know. Caseworker? I don't know.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. I don't know if it'll be good, but I want to see that. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm not. It's just there's nothing about it that has come out. There's no details in it whatsoever.
It's coming out in a few months is the thing.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not coming out in July.
It's coming out in July?
I can say that with certainty. It's going to get pushed back. Or probably when this episode comes out, there's going to be like, oh, a trailer came out for it. But no, I think it's going to get pushed back. But if more details come out and we get more information about it, then I'll get excited for it. But like right now, there's just nothing. It's just in name only. That's really it. And a couple actors and the filmmakers involved. Like,
I don't know anything about Shang-Chi as a character. Shang-Chi and the Eternals are the only things on this list that I don't know about in the comics. So I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that there's more representation in the MCU now. I heard that they're gonna do Fing Fang Foom, which if they do, that's so fucking wild that they would put Fing Fang Foom in a serious movie that makes me kind of interested. But yeah, I don't know enough about Shang-Chi to really be excited. Let's see. What if?
I'll watch it, but like I'm not super interested in it. I'm kind of indifferent to it, to be perfectly honest with you.
It's an animated anthology set in the multiverse. I expect there to be some really good episodes, some kind of just okay episodes, but overall it just to be kind of skippable. I'll watch it. Spider-Man No Way Home. We finally got a title from it.
I don't know. I'm very interested. I'm very confused as to what exactly the direction is they're going to take it. I was expecting the movie to be like Kraven's Last Hunt. Like that's going to be the story. And like Kraven the Hunter. But then now they're talking about all this multiversal stuff. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, it's too early to introduce the Spider-Verse. But then it's like, okay, it might not necessarily be Spider-Verse. It could just be like setting it up. Which I think that's possibly a very interesting position Marvel is putting themselves in terms of the rights to Spider-Man. Because it's like, if they set up the Spider-Verse, because they have two more movies, a team-up movie and a solo movie. If they have, like, the solo movies, No Way Home, and then maybe the team-up movie is in Doctor Strange 2, and they set up the Spider-Verse story, and they do it well, they could be like, okay, now Sony's going to take it away. So this great story we've set up, yeah, Sony's the bad guy in this. They're preventing you from getting it.
You're not wrong, but I don't like that the fact that Disney is able to manipulate the fact that fans like them because they make good movies
I
to pressure other massive companies into making good deals with them. Yeah, it's manipulative. But, I mean, I want Spider-Man to stay in the MCU. And I want him in the hands of good directors. I mean, Spider-Verse animated movie, I would dare say... You know, I've stated I think a few films are the greatest superhero movies. That, I'm putting my foot down. Spider-Verse is the greatest superhero movie ever made. So, I'm not opposed to a Spider-Verse movie. And seeing Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, I mean, that would be cool. But I worry that they'll go too heavy into the Spider-Verse too soon. And I'm worried about Spider-Man leaving the MCU. That said, I like the first two Spider-Man movies decently enough. The two villains that they've announced so far are Jamie Foxx's Electro and I forget his name's Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2.
Alfred Molina.
Yeah, him. And they were both, I mean, Electro was in a poorly written film, but Jamie Foxx gave a cool performance. I think that would be a cool pair of villains. I don't know. We'll see. We only got the title last week, so we're jumping the gun a bit. Miss Marvel.
Yes, because Miss Marvel's a very interesting character, and I'm glad that they're introducing Islamic representation into the MCU.
I like Kamala Khan as a character, and I'm glad she's going to be in the MCU. They haven't really announced anything besides it's a Kamala Khan show, but I'm looking forward to it because I like the character, and it will help set up Captain Marvel too, which, who knows. And by the way, I couldn't find a list of this in order, because half the TV shows don't have official dates and things keep getting pushed out. I'm just going back and forth on movies and TV shows. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yes, I am very excited, especially since Sam Raimi is directing it, because he is very, very good at doing horror comedy. And, I don't know, just horror, superhero movies, and horror comedy. He's very good at doing all that, and I'm very, very interested to see how he's going to handle Doctor Strange. Added to the fact that we were talking about it earlier, since Wanda could potentially be the villain of the movie, I don't know. I'm very interested in it, though. And I'm also interested to see how Marvel handles horror.
I'm very excited of it, primarily because it's a follow-up to this show, and this show, for all its faults, I really enjoyed. I want to see Scarlet Witch continue as a character. I really liked Benedict Cumberbatch's performance as Stephen Strange, and I feel like those two characters could bounce off pretty well. I'm excited for it.
Like I said, my thoughts overall on WandaVision, I thought it was fun. I thought it was a really enjoyable watch. It's just, I don't know, it's not nearly one of my favorite things. It's not nearly one of the best things they've done.
Hawkeye.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because it's a prequel to Endgame.
Wait, is it?
It takes place between that 5-year time jump. After Hawkeye's family is dead, or was dusted, and he's like trying to move on.
No. What Wikipedia is saying is it's after Endgame, but Wikipedia can be wrong.
I don't know. I heard it was in the 5-year time jump.
I like Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye as a character. I do love the fact that they just won't let him retire. Give this man a break. The show is him training a new Hawkeye so he can finally retire. So next time someone says, Hawkeye, help us, he's like, go ask Kate. She's Hawkeye now. Bye. Let the man retire, Marvel.
Again, I'm pretty indifferent to...
The later we go, the more it's just like a concept and we don't really know what's going to be in. Like, I'm excited for Black Widow because Taskmaster's a cool villain. We don't know enough about Hawkeye to really be excited. Thor Love and Thunder, it's the thing I'm most excited for coming forward, and it's only next year. God, so much comes out next year. 5 films.
I am very interested to see the direction, because Taika Waititi did a great job reinvigorating the love and passion in Thor's character and story, and took him in a very good direction. And by the details that have come out about it, the script, the casting, all that, it's like, I don't know, I'm very interested in this, where it's going to go.
It's a follow-up to a really good MCU movie. They're finally addressing, hey, what happened to Jane Foster? And maybe doing Lady Thor from the comics. Christian Bale's set to appear. Is this just theories, or have they officially announced that he's Gore the God Butcher?
It was officially announced.
There's so many cool things in this. The only thing I worry is maybe it's paying off more than it can do, because it's also supposed to feature the Guardians.
Yeah, maybe it could just be a cameo by them.
Probably just a cameo. Moon Knight, another show that's been announced that we don't really know much about.
Yeah, like you said, there's just not a whole lot of information about a lot of these to get excited for them. I really hope that Marvel does Moon Knight justice, like does the mental torment angle of it very, very well. Like the split personality, the darkness, twisted nature of it. I really hope they get that right, you know?
I mean, they've cast Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight, and the head writer is... Never mind, I just looked up the head writer, and you're not allowed to know that, because you won't be excited for the movie then. But it's Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight. How could it be bad? Again, don't look at who the head writer is.
I'm looking into it.
He did Femme Four Stick and Death Note.
Oh. Well, I mean...
Other people worked on those, though.
That's not a big deal break for me. I'm still very interested
It might be good.
The direction they take with Moon Knight.
It could be good, who knows. Black Panther 2,
Yeah, I mean... Unfortunately, there's so much that's up in the air with that movie. We don't know what's going on with that movie at this point, because Chadwick Boseman very tragically lost his life. And Marvel has said, we're not recasting, we're not CGIing him, we're not killing him off, we're not making Shuri the next Black Panther. And I'm like, well, then what are you doing exactly?
I mean, they have the same director as the first one, Ryan Coogler, who basically everything he's made I've enjoyed. So I don't think it will be bad. I don't know what that's gonna be without Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, he was so good as Black Panther.
Tragedy.
I don't know. I'm mostly just interested to see what direction, like, again, more details need to come out for me to have an official opinion about it. Because as of right now, there's so much that's speculation.
She-Hulk.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of how Hulk's story has gone thus far, and I get it's She-Hulk, it's a completely different character, but
I mean, Mark Ruffalo and Tim Roth are
yeah,
set to appear,
true.
so
I don't know.
connected.
Like I said, I will watch it. I'm gonna end up watching all of these, but in terms of my excitement, again, She-Hulk, there's not a whole lot on the list, but it's not super high up on mine.
They have hired Jessica Gao, who's a comedy writer. She worked on Rick and Morty and a lot of other stuff as the head writer. And I mean, She-Hulk in the comics is a lot of time a comedic character, so who knows? Maybe they'll go into the comedy and it'll be fun.
I trust it'll be good, but I don't know.
Captain Marvel 2.
Again, not a whole lot of information about it, so.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think Captain Marvel 1 was great, but I thought it was a good setup movie. Like, I think Captain Marvel, with her powers, maybe with Monica and Nick Fury and the Skrulls going around in space, that could be cool.
They are making a Nick Fury show called Secret Invasion, where he's basically dealing with that.
Yeah, they're doing 3 things. That, Miss Marvel, and Secret Invasion, I have a feeling will be all very heavily tied together, and we have no information on any of them. Secret Invasion also, I'm like, that might be good. I like Sam Jackson as Nick Fury. Secret Invasion's a cool story, but don't got much info on it. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania!
They're gonna waste Kang the Conqueror. No.
See, this is the thing. We don't disagree a lot. I really like the Ant-Man movies. You don't.
They're not bad. I just don't. It's my least favorite franchise within the MCU.
I think they're pretty good, and I want to see Ant-Man face Kang the Conqueror. Like, this intimidating, arrogant villain going up against Ant-Man. Like, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we'll see.
Ironheart?
Riri Williams. It's interesting. Yes.
Don't know much about her character in the comics or the show, but I don't know. Get a new Iron Man in the MCU because they killed off the old one, and I don't have a feeling that Don Cheadle will be around for longer because he's been in the MCU for a while. Ooh, speaking of Don Cheadle, Armor Wars.
Yeah, because the story is as follows, as far as I understand. Stark technology got into the wrong hands, and Rhodey has to deal with it. Dealing with the death of his friend and how it's his responsibility to, like, honor his legacy. That is interesting.
And like WandaVision, what they seem to be doing with the Phase 4 TV shows is giving character development to the sidekicks. Like, Rhodey's been in the MCU since the first movie. I mean, he was recast in the third one, but he's been in here for a while. We don't know much about him as a person, though. Fantastic Four?
I'm very glad that Marvel is now finally introducing the Fantastic Four into the MCU, but again, not a whole lot of information.
And finally, I saved these two to put them together. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I am interested to see where Guardians of the Galaxy 3 goes. I really hope they make Drax a more interesting character.
Yeah.
I am interested. I mean, the last two have not disappointed.
I think they are. Both of them are top 5 MCU.
For me, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. They're both top tier for me, certainly. I don't know about top 5, but definitely top tier. I don't know. The holiday special, I assume that's going to be fun.
The Guardians of the Galaxy celebrate Christmas. That'll be fun. Oh, also they're doing Wakanda TV show, but again, like, that relies heavily on Black Panther 2, and that's the one that's super up in the air right now.
They're also doing another little mini anthology series called I Am Groot, following Baby Groot and his misadventures.
Aww, I like Baby Groot.
I don't think we mentioned Eternals.
Oh shit, yeah, I accidentally skipped it. Eternals! I know nothing about the Eternals, but it's going for this big sci-fi epic scale, and I really hope they pull it off.
Yeah, well, I mean, the director, Chloe Zhao, she just won a Golden Globe for directing Nomadland. So, I don't know. They're going for this very grand, epic sci-fi thing, and I don't know, I'm intrigued. I'm skeptical, but I'm intrigued. Also, another one that we did not mention is Blade.
Blade, right, Blade. I've never seen a Blade movie, actually.
The first two are really, really cheesy fun. Third one's shit.
Oh.
We should totally review those.
I'll put it on the list.
I'm just super interested in the possibility of seeing vampires in the MCU.
Right. Blade's always been a weird Marvel character.
Yeah.
Oh, also, it hasn't been announced, but after WandaVision, where they introduced two young superheroes, you know they're doing a Young Avengers.
Yes.
I mean, they've already introduced Stature, but haven't given her powers. They're doing a Miss Marvel show. They're gonna do a Young Avengers.
Yeah, and they're setting it up with Ant-Man Quantumania.
Yes.
Wasn't there an animated Young Avengers movie that came out a while ago?
A while ago, but all the characters in that are different than the comic Young Avengers,
True,
though.
but Kang the Conqueror was the villain of that, I'm pretty sure.
What?
I'm
was
pretty
he?
sure. Yeah.
No, that was Ultron, right?
Yeah, it was Ultron. Never mind, fuck me.
Yes, because that's the one before the MCU had the bright idea. Hey, wouldn't it make more sense if Iron Man made Ultron because he's the robotics guy?
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yay, I have good memory of movies that weren't very good that I saw like 10 years ago. Oh, also, they're doing Ironheart. Spider-Man's a teenager. You said they're doing Young Loki. They're doing a Young Avengers movie in Phase 5. That's what this is building. Any other thoughts on the future of the MCU?
Not really. I mean, a lot of it's just shrouded in mystery on purpose, obviously, but I'm glad that we're getting like an episode of a show a week this year, starting WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then Loki, just to kind of tide us over after a year of nothing because of COVID, you know?
Well, COVID, it just delayed everything, so, you know, people have said, oh, people are gonna get sick of the MCU. I don't think that's gonna happen, but if it's ever gonna happen, it's gonna be in 2021 and 2022, where it's just so much MCU, and I'm gonna watch it all. God help me. So, that's going to be the end of this discussion. Next week, we're going to be returning to Hogwarts and talking about Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad that we're continuing on with the franchise. I'm a big Harry Potter fan.
Yeah, and, you know, because it's Easter, right? When's Easter? I never know when Easter is. We're doing that one because Easter's the anti-Thanksgiving, or long story. I'll explain it in the actual episode. But I don't actually know when Easter is. No one ever knows when Easter is.
Easter is Sunday, April 4th.
We're a bit early. Who cares? Anyway, as always, I'm Casey Jarmes.
And I'm Riley Thorpe.
And hey, it's just a 9-part TV show about a pair of superheroes living in a sitcom world. It's not a movie, so I'm making this longer than it needs to be. But it's just a TV show. A TV show that did not feature Mephisto. Don't lose your head about it. And especially don't have, like, Thanos reach in and, like, pull out part of your brain. And then have your wife have a mental breakdown and kidnap everyone. Like, don't do that, okay? Goodbye. This is the end of the episode.